Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today on our live stream. Today, our topic is the use cases of cloud coaching, real-time help with live projects. I am your host, Peter Van Rysdam. I'm the head of marketing here at Cloud Institute. And if you're not familiar with Cloud Institute, we're a training and coaching company that equips IT teams to confidently deliver on IT projects. We offer personalized coaching with cloud experts and hands-on project-based training to help you with your live projects. And I'm happy to introduce one of those experts here today. We have our cloud leader, Zaki Medina, who will be presenting. Zaki is an expert instructor and cloud coach who has coached thousands of aspiring data scientists and engineers. Before I turn it over to Zaki, I want to encourage you to ask questions in the comments. We'll answer them at the end of the presentation. We'll turn those over to Zaki to take care of. If you'd like a copy of the slide deck, leave us a comment and we'll connect with you and get that over to you as well. We're going to try to keep this around 30 minutes today. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Zaki. Take it away.
Thank you, Peter. I hope everybody can hear me today. Just showcasing the slides here. Hopefully everyone can see the slides. So quick question on around today. Today's LinkedIn live stream is on the use cases for cloud coaching for IT departments. And this is kind of I encourage everyone to participate. This is our energetic 30-minute session. We're going to dive into sort of the benefits of real-time coaching and how it helps your IT teams overcome obstacles, optimize their cloud infrastructure, and maximize ROI, right? So we'll also be sharing inspiring success stories from some of these. Some of these are from my background, working as a cloud coach in different industries over a long period of time, and showcasing sort of the long-term benefits of cloud coaching for IT managers and their respective teams. Again, if you're considering trying cloud coaching for your organization, we've got you covered today, and we'll provide you with a bit of resources as well, and to get you started, and also some tips on how to accelerate your cloud adoption. So buckle up and let's get started here. Um, so from an agenda perspective, a quick overview of our session today. We're going to start with sort of an introduction, right, to cloud coaching. We'll start by defining sort of, what is cloud coaching and discussing why personalized support is so crucial in today's complex cloud environment, right? Then we're going to look at some of the benefits of cloud coaching for IT departments. Next we'll sort of delve into the specific benefits that cloud coaching can bring to your IT teams, such as overcoming obstacles, optimizing infrastructure, maximizing ROI, and even making sure your digital transformation project, where cloud is a big piece of that, is on track. So we'll look at that. And then we'll look at some real life success stories. Some of these are just my stories. I've protected the innocent by not revealing their names, but I think some of you in the Canadian market will probably guess which those organizations are. Uh, and then we'll also share some top resources and around getting started with cloud coaching, and provide a list of those to support your IT team on their cloud journey. And then finally, we'll have a Q&A session where I happily encourage everyone to ask those questions ahead of time so we can prep those and so on. Again, it's a very short session today, and we want to make sure we capture everybody's feedback here. So let's dive in and explore how you know cloud coaching can help. But before I do that, I want to quickly tell you a story about Alexander the Great. And the interesting thing about Alexander the Great is that obviously he conquered most of the known world back then, but that the impact he had from his tutors. Alexander the Great had a lot of tutors. He had a lot of coaches, you could say, right? And notable of that was Aristotle. And Aristotle was very interesting. As some of you may know, Aristotle is a famous Greek philosopher. Is he contributed significantly in the development of Alexander's intellectual leadership and strategic abilities, right? In fact, some would even go and say that Alexander became Alexander only because he had great access to coaches, right? And so on. So, Aristotle being a polymath, and, he educated Alexander on a wide variety of subjects, right? Back then it was philosophy, ethics, politics, believe it or not, there's a subject called rhetoric and natural sciences. And so all of these really help Alexander sort of deal with the challenges in running military campaigns and during his reign, right? At the same time, Aristotle's teaching around ethics, politics, and leadership also shaped Alexander's mindset as a ruler, right? So consider this sort of a foundation, the impact of a coach could have, very early on. I mean, it's why we send our children to tutors and coaches and things like that, right? To get better at subjects and topics and so on. So it's no different for us when we look at this from a cloud perspective today. So just a quick little history thing for all my history buffs out there. So let's start by understanding what is cloud coaching, right? And understanding why it's essential in today's IT landscape, right? And the reason I say that is just we've had almost 2 decades of cloud. If someone could argue, right? Maybe 15 years instead of 20, but I would say the writing was on the wall with VMware and so on, even in the early 2000s. So cloud coaching is really this personalized real-time support service that helps your IT team. And I know it's playoff season, so think of this as a player coach, right? In that regard, where you have someone you can depend on who's been there, who's led someone to the promised land or the championship and can help you get there. And so for IT teams and managers that are actually deploying and adopting new cloud technologies, this becomes a really big piece. Now, the inverse is you could spend time and go and send your team for months long training, or maybe take them out of their day to day and send them to a full week of classes or 2 weeks of classes. A lot of that is not scalable, especially in this day and age, in this macroeconomic environment. So what's the next best thing? And so that's where a cloud expert or a cloud coach could come in and help guide organizations through the complexities of their cloud adoption and management, right? So cloud coaching really works by providing this continuous guidance, right? And expertise throughout that entire cloud journey. We're talking from initial planning and strategy to implementation, optimization, and beyond, right? If you ask me what's the main goal of cloud coaching, it's really to help IT teams overcome challenges and make the most of their cloud investments in a rapid manner, right? Like in an accelerated time manner, right? So in an accelerated time frame. So now you might be wondering, why personalized support is that so crucial in the cloud space? Well, we know that the cloud environment is incredibly complex. Even a single cloud vendor will have multiple services. Like just think about database, right? Like, okay, I need a simple database. Now you're going to ask, okay, is it structured? Is it unstructured? Is it semi-structured? Is it a combination? Do I need a graph database? Do I need a SQL database? Do I need, all kinds of things come up, right? A NoSQL database. So there's a multitude of services and platforms and technologies. Who better than someone who's walked the path to choose from, right? So cloud coaching addresses this challenge up front. Now you could say, hey, we could just go out and get consultants, and yes, absolutely, that's really where the idea was born. But really, not all consultants can take the role of a coach, right? Can take the role where you're doing it, you're building the plane and flying it at the same time, and providing that sort of tailored support, but at the same time helping you navigate, and also at the same time, creating the awareness, generating the learnings for your organization, for your team members in that space. So this is really the power of cloud coaching, or I would probably say real-time cloud coaching. That's really what we're looking at and how it impacts your, team's performance. So some of the use cases that we look at, right? So, some of the use cases that can really benefit your IT team. Let's start with the first one, is keeping your digital transformation on track. Yes, as senior leaders of a services organization that I was in, they could take a cloud adoption takes anywhere between a quarter to about maybe even a year, right? Depending on the level of transformation and so on. But what if there is a wrong direction, right? What if something happened, something broke, maybe the consultant wasn't great. Now we have to move to another consultant. Now we have to run through the hoop of onboarding someone else, right? The transformation could be in trouble. We spent a lot of time and effort, and not to imagine burning a lot of goodwill in that operation. So that's where a cloud coach could come in, right? Could be brought in by the organization, and really the goal is to stop that downward spiral, right? So you could think about transformation. A lot of transformation, digital transformation projects for organizations have really been about cloud. And I would say now with with the pandemic behind us, hopefully, a lot of companies already accelerated their cloud journey, but some of them are taking two steps back, meaning they jumped into it without planning, and they're really, really suffering and not really understanding how to really take benefit of cloud for their business, right? So that's where, a cloud coach could come in, right? Next up is the acceleration and adoption of new technologies and processes, right? How we were doing things on premise versus how we need to do them in the cloud, or even in a hybrid cloud slash on premise mode will be different. It requires a re-architecting of our processes, right? And as a product company, maybe I have my software team or a software company deploying product. How does my continuous integration, continuous, CI/CD, continuous deployment pipelines and agile methods look, right? So that's really where the adoption has to come in, right? So a coach can be brought in to help, and we could even see we've seen efforts where within a week the adoption plan was turned up, and a company started seeing value within the first week or 2 weeks of that cloud coach, right? So this coaching engagement can simply be successful by just simply training the stakeholders, right? On some of the key aspects of their cloud adoption journey and helping re-architect some of the new business processes and so on. So, and just my experience alone, I've worked with, not just folks in the IT department or IT teams, but also at the C level as well as at the VP level, and bringing, providing that sort of shared language between all. A lot of this is really herding cats, and a lot of it is also developing that cross-organizational alignment across all of these. And then finally, I would say establishing that DNA, the use case number three, where we establish that DNA to transform, right? Now, this is a much bigger conversation. Obviously, organizations, once they've sort of, come up with their, with their business model, they don't typically change. But now in this day and age with AI, generative AI, with Web 3.0 technologies, things of that nature, with the macroeconomic environment, everybody is changing. In fact, change is the only real constant. And so establishing that leadership DNA is really critical, you know. And what better way than to start with sort of the transformation that cloud brings for the IT workloads, for the IT department, and so on. And then sort of the use cases around, aligning your key resources and stakeholders for your customer. A lot of time, a customer will simply, either outsource this or simply bring in a project manager that has not gone through a cloud migration and really doesn't know. And that's where a cloud coach can come in and help out, right? They'll be able to pull everything together, what's needed, review the situation, have the conversations with the respective folks, facilitate, all the different parties, align them, bring consensus, and at the same time ensure that the deliverables assigned to the project chart and the project plan are all being followed through, right? So that's something real, real value that a cloud coach could do. It's basically sort of, you could say, Santa's little helper for the project manager, in a way. And a lot of our fans of cloud coaching that we've seen are actually project managers, program managers of the sort. And finally, obviously, this is a big one, is time, right? You can't ramp up. You could ramp up a junior team for several weeks, several months, right? But then everybody learns differently. Everybody is not in sync. So what better way than to, maybe everybody has the training, but they still haven't got their feet wet, So what better way than to put a training wheels on your IT team and your junior resources, and bring in a cloud coach to really help them, right? So, a lot of folks will say, hey, the junior team of cloud practitioners we need to ramp them up quickly because we have projects on the go. Cloud is very important. A cloud coach can come in and help shrink that timeline and so on. And so that's really very powerful. There's nothing more powerful than OGT, which is on the job training, right? If people think about learning, you learn through three ways. You learn either through absorbing content, right? Where you sit in a class, lecture, live stream like this, and then we learn from each other socially, right? Through collaboration and so on. And then finally, on the job training, which has the most effect. I would say it's like probably 70% of all learning is really on the job training, right? So it's very powerful. We're tapping into that learning aspect, learning science where you can create real durable learning and so on. And then finally, so putting all of this together, right? When you look at the benefits of cloud coaching for IT departments, we really identified sort of four key areas, right, where cloud coaching can make a real significant impact today. Number one, probably overcoming obstacles, right? So, the cloud projects can be very complex. So now, inevitably, our IT teams will face challenges along the way, right? Your IT team will face these challenges. Now, you could face those challenges, go on online and try to look up information, or go on YouTube, and there's just so much data in there. Or you hire a consultant and it's expensive, you'll get the answer, but it's a piecemeal answer. You won't get the overall picture. Having someone as a cloud coach can also help both on the consultative side and also ensure that your team gets the warm and fuzzies, right? So sometimes bringing, as I've also brought in consultants, I've been a consultant myself, is that sometimes there is, a little friction between the two in an organization. So you could remove that by bringing in a cloud coach, right? So that aspect is very important for some of the customers that are leveraging coaching. I almost said cloud computing. So, so that's really, really helpful having that expert guidance to navigate these hurdles and so on. And then finally, optimizing your cloud infrastructure. So, one of the things is as cloud, obviously the pandemic had accelerated cloud adoption. And there's numerous of studies where it showed a lot of organizations were definitely caught with their pants down, meaning they didn't prepare well enough, but they still went ahead and because business it's the only thing, people are sitting at home. Cloud was the only way to access workloads and do work and tasks and so on. So you know obviously ensuring that that cloud infrastructure is optimized over time is really important because a lot of companies, the biggest hurdle about cloud is not controlling the cost side of it, right? And there's this whole thing that we did. Even I did a webinar on FinOps at Cloud Institute. So feel free to check it out if you want more information on how to apply sort of that financial acumen on your cloud spend and things of that nature. So those are some of the things that a cloud coach could help and bring in, right? Maybe you don't run these workloads all the time. You run these cloud services only ad hoc or as needed, and you create a reservation, you sign up for a longer period of time. A bunch of tactics we could use to ensure that we're optimizing our cloud infrastructure, right sizing our workloads and services as well. And then next up is, well, the impact of all of this is obviously maximizing our return on investment, right? So every cloud project needs to deliver maximum value. It's obvious, right? And you do that by optimizing our costs, our performance. And so cloud coaches can really help identify these areas. And now, yes, every cloud will provide you sort of a simple report of what's broken, how to optimize, but no one gives you the double click into those. No one puts it all together. And that's where you need the human aspect of it to really look at the big picture and put it all together. And finally, I would say, accelerating your cloud adoption. All of these, the impact of this is that you move from A to Z quicker, faster, easier, with less pain, because your IT team, as a result of the support of your cloud coach, is now moving more quickly, confidently, and this accelerated adoption sort of allows the organization to stay competitive and take advantage of the latest innovations within the cloud space, right? So, and we'll look at some of these in the next few slides here. We have some inspiring stories, a real world impact of cloud coaching for IT departments. And the first story I have is from healthcare. Um, Oops, I jumped a few slides here. So, this was sort of, a hospital. Let's say it's a children's hospital, and there's only one children's hospital in my neck of the woods in Toronto. So, what started off as an AI project, and funny enough, almost all the workloads, new workloads going into cloud are all AI workloads now, right? AI and data science workloads and machine learning workloads. So, so there was a bunch of complex challenges on how this large healthcare organization, right? And just so everyone knows, healthcare organization IT is typically lots of layers, right? Lots of moving parts, lots of layers. They had multiple services from different providers, even different cloud providers. The IT team was struggling to manage and optimize this infrastructure effectively. The costs for maintaining this with the healthcare compliance footprint and was spiraling, and especially bringing AI in was not a good thing. And so one of the things is I did as sort of the lead architect on that project was I had to become the cloud coach for the IT team, and it was sort of an ad hoc role, but we help address that team, and so we work closely with the IT team. We assess their existing infrastructure. We looked at, hey, what workloads need to run in which cloud. We set up a multi-cloud environment, built a landing zone, right? We developed sort of a comprehensive plan to consolidate some of the services. We streamlined some of the processes. We built pervasive automation where we could, right? We're using scripts and so on. So, all in all, it was a very huge effort. And the reason, and that was sort of my first real foray into cloud coaching without the term cloud coach being added to me. But it showed remarkably how this was a missing role all along in cloud adoption journeys for enterprises, right? And so as a result of that, let's say, cloud coaching intervention, right, the healthcare organization was not only be able to significantly improve its cloud infrastructure, they experienced increased efficiency, reduced cost. The cost itself was the ROI that the CFO was looking for. So, and that was made everybody happy, right? And as a result, that was a great success story on that. And similarly, we have similar stories in finance. I spent some time in tier two finance, where working with some finance and folks. In here, we work with sort of a mid-sized financial institution, and they were transitioning to the cloud. And if people know finance, everything is on premise on these COBOL systems from the 70s and 80s, right? They still kept their old IT team. They didn't let them retire. They brought them back as consultants, and it was obviously spanning out of cost, right? From a cost perspective, it was not, it was not, it was not, acceptable to run those. So to address this challenge, they actually, it was the work from the healthcare that gave them the warm and fuzzies, right, to make the introduction to us. And basically, I helped them provide with some hands-on guidance and training. Actually, that's what we did. We did start with sort of training of the folks, sort of an accelerated boot camp training. But then we found that, hey, most of the folks learn better on the job because that's how tech people learn. And so we developed this sort of like office hours, cloud coach kind of thing where people could bring in questions. And we did that for every department. We did it for the folks in the server, compute side, database side, network side, right? And so on. So that really helped accelerate these coaching sessions that we created. It also provided real-time support. We would be available during certain cutovers, phase migrations, day one, day two support, just in case, to help out and so on. And that was very well received by the team as they felt, hey, they're not bringing in consultants to replace us, but they're bringing in someone else to help us who is actually genuinely interested that we learn something and we learn how to do this on our own. And I think that's really the big thing. And so as a result, obviously, it was a success. And so, this is, again, the reason we started this service, the Cloud Institute, was really, it was the folks in our team that actually were cloud coaches, and without knowing, we were cloud coaches and helping those respective organizations come in. And then finally, a current one that I'm working on is manufacturing, right? So specifically in the steel industry, if anybody knows about steel, very dangerous environment. Everything is automated, and everything is sort of not connected to the cloud. Steel, as everyone knows, there's a lot of huge demand for products and services. Car prices are through the roof. All of this comes down to raw materials like steel. So those steel mills, those steel plants are very busy, but at the same time, their digitalization journey has not even started or happening, or it's sort of stunted in some ways. And so how do they bring that data that's being collected from their PLCs, from the historians, their SCADA systems into the cloud, right? Those Parquet files, those CSV files, all of those are challenges right now that I see companies go in. And we've actually worked with a company that is looking as part of their cloud journey, wanted to deploy some, some excellent AI solutions, automated AI solutions on that. And they recognize that, hey, just going to the cloud is not simple. It's not easy, especially for an operational technology or an OT environment with so many bells and whistles and things. And the challenge was really getting the data out because there was, layer one cabling. You need armored cabling. You need all of that stuff. So once we got all of this figured out, the next step was how do you bring it to the cloud, right? And bring it to a landing zone, a multi-cloud landing zone, because they had different workloads that were going to different cloud providers as a result of their needs. So the migration took about a quarter. Actually, the migration took a quarter, but the actual implementation to cloud was less than a week. And that was obviously practice makes perfect. So that was very impressed by the customer was very impressed by the speed at which we operated, and they definitely said they definitely identified that there were benefits in how we did the cloud coaching. We brought in cloud coaching for the folks, especially, and these were folks not on the IT side. These were even folks on the OT side. These were the engineers, process engineers, things of that nature that we looked at. So again, very powerful story around that. So, my whole thing was really to give you guys sort of the warm and fuzzies around this, and also to sort of come up with some of the solutions that we have, some resources around that, right? So, a couple of resources that I want to point to, sorry, is, we've got Stack Overflow, right? Very popular. A lot of IT professionals engage with cloud experts and their peers. There's a Stack Overflow channel or community here. You want to get information about questions, learn from the expertise of others. It has very robust reputation, so you can always know which question and answer is ranked highly. Next up is Reddit. Reddit I find is awesome because you now have, through subreddits, there's a subreddit on cloud computing. You get access to a wide variety of members and cloud experts and so on. And then another one is the open, sort of the open, sorry, the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, CNCF community. This is a prominent one. This is more around what's coming down the pipeline in new technologies in cloud and ecosystems. Again, they have great mailing lists, forums, and events and working groups that if you're really interested in participating and working or want to learn more about what's coming down the pipeline, they're great. And then finally, shameless plug here, Cloud Institute, right? We do offer a cloud coaching provider services. We offer personalized coaching services at both the individual and the team level, tailored to your organization. And we have a team of experienced cloud professionals. Definitely have smarter people than myself available as well to lead your IT teams as they navigate through the complexities of cloud adoption, optimization, and management, and so on. So this would be a really great starting point, I would say, for your cloud journey. And then from an example perspective, I would say, what you're looking at is you first have to start with assessing your needs, right? Before you engage a cloud coach, have a clear understanding of what you're doing. And if you don't, actually, it's good to engage a cloud coach because they can help you build out the requirements and identify the gaps and also define your goals to some degree with that. And then, move on to sort of once you're past that initial assessment is to schedule a kickoff call and then leverage those hours, right? It could be in the form of hours, it could be in the form of a bucket of hours, sometimes fixed office hours, could become in a lunch and learn. It could be a combination of things, right? At the same time, this cloud coach will also help keep track of the learning plan or the learning thing of the team over time, right? Ensure that they're, the labs and the technical training, the certifications, those are things that not on the headache of the manager or the IT manager, but on the head, it becomes the cloud coach helping the individual contributors of that cloud team really reach those heights. Um, so with that, it's sort of the end of our live stream. Any questions on that?
Yes, yeah, we did get some questions, and thanks so much, first off, for that presentation. I'm sure it's helpful for anybody that's looking to get IT or any IT managers looking to get cloud coaching. So that is fantastic. But like I said, we do have some questions here. So let's take a look at the first one. It says, "Do you recommend coaching just when you're starting out during major cloud projects, or is it something you want to do on an ongoing basis?"
I would say all three, right? Like, especially if when you're starting out, you need a coach to tell you, oh, where do I even start, right? That assessment becomes really critical. During a major cloud project, depending on where it is, your cloud is at, right? It's during the migration, or maybe something is spiraling downward. You could have a cloud coach come in to help, maybe, to maybe even, troubleshoot, or help in some aspects of it, right? Maybe it's coaching the team to make sure that they can deliver some things on. So definitely you could bring it in on an ongoing basis. You could bring on a cloud coach to ensure that you're following the cloud optimization approaches that's laid out, sort of.
All right, makes sense. Next up, we have should coaching just be one-on-one, or does it work in a team setting?
I would say both, right? One on one. It could be someone who's starting a new career or transitioning to a new career, or in a career in cloud but wants to go to the next level. Can definitely take advantage of a cloud coach, and see what they're working towards. And from a team setting, again, it could be working with the manager and their teams, their different learning goals, their different project goals, things like that, and ensuring there's alignment and across all of these as they move forward. So definitely, cloud coaching could be a really big piece of that.
All right, fantastic. All right. Before I let everybody go, I just want to let you guys know that for a limited time, GCP Bootcamp, our Google Cloud Bootcamp, is on sale for 50% off. The bootcamp will get you ready and prepare you for the first three most in-demand Google Cloud certifications, which are Cloud Digital Leader, Associate Cloud Engineer, and Professional Cloud Architect. You also get 1 hour of one-on-one coaching, what we've been talking about today, with a GCP expert, plus access to our self-paced courses and over 100 hands-on GCP labs. And in addition, anyone who purchases the bootcamp after seeing this webinar, so just mention it when you're checking out or talking with a salesperson, we're offering a bonus coaching session. So you'll get 2 there. Send an email to sales@cloudinstitute.io for more details on how to receive an extra coaching session along with that bootcamp. So, Zaki, before we let you go, any closing thoughts?
No, this was really helpful. Hopefully, everyone found benefit. Cloud coaching is something you should add it as a quiver in any IT manager and any cloud adoption journey right now. So,
Definitely agree. Yeah. Well, send us a message if you want to be notified about upcoming events, and we can add you to our list. We've got several more coming up with Zaki over the next coming months. So do stay tuned. Our next one is actually Tuesday, May 2nd at noon Eastern. Zaki will be back to talk about becoming a cloud digital leader. And we hope you all can join us for that. But thank you for being with us today, and we'll see you next time.
all right, take care, everyone. Bye bye.